Hello, welcome to another Figuarts review. This is the real skeleton structure of Kamen Kuuga Mighty Form, or Kamen Kuuga Mighty Form version 2.0. Just like all the other sort of real skeleton structured Figuart releases, in this sort of very fancy filtered front with the side with metallic shiny print, Mask Rider Kuuga Mighty Form, and on the back has the Chinese sticker there because this is a Hong Kong edition, blah 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 blah. Yep, just that. And on top it's a Figuart in silver print. And then the bottom as well. Open this up. Inside says some stuff produced by Bandai, not Time Machine Nation. Now, unlike the previous version, this does not come with a little book that says, hey, by the way, there's all this stuff that went into it. Instead, we just have another survey thing where you might win a prize, and you have this sheet inside that says Mask Rider Kuuga Mighty Form, general information on the back, and basic instructions on the front. If you want to take a closer look at that, please feel free to head over to the Flickr or Facebook link in the video description below. Underneath he has these hands as accessories. Apart from the fist hands already on the figure, he of course has his signature thumbs up hand, relax hands, spray open hands, and his sort of like posing henshin hands. Main tray itself just holds just a single figure on its own, just like all the previous real skeleton thing, and it pops off really easily. Oh, whoops. So just get the figure out. And he has two protection sheets here. So in order to remove these, oh, there's two layers here. Cool. Well, I guess I'm not going to. Guess I might. Oh, yep. Pull that open. Nope. Because I pull off the lower body. So, plastic sheets out. There's actually a lot of gunk here, which I'm not happy about. If you just pull this. Oh, never mind. It's a bit tight. I'm not going to put it off again. Never mind. So, his legs can go there. Just stand there. His body here. Plastic goes underneath there. And has this extra piece here for, like, I guess, layering. So this piece can go back in there. Just sort of sits in there. And it's got some movement there. And just plug the figure back in. Awesome. And you got these two plastic sheets that can just get rid of and put it to the side. So here's Kuuga. Let's go with his articulation. Focus. There we go. He looks awesome, and I like that his belt is his own. It's his own piece now. So if I did have a decade belt or something, I can swap it around. So, ooh, these pieces are loose as well. These ankle pieces. That's cool. So yeah, head's on a double neck joint. So up, down, sideways, sideways. Do note that these are hard pieces now, not soft one like the original. Full rotation of the head, of course. Round bore in the torso, like all Figuarts. And this little arm here that can come down, and the shoulder pads on a little ball joint. So arm can go up, down, full rotation. Full rotation here on the upper arm. Double elbow joint. The figure no longer cuts into the suit. The gauntlets on the arms, and there's another rotating joint here, which is awesome. The fist is on little ball pegs on little swiveling arms, so lots of movement there. Torso is up, down, sideways, sideways. You can see here the armor sort of extends as it needs to, which is really cool. Belt is a loose piece, like I said, that's awesome. Leg goes up, down, up, back. Not full rotation, but still quite a lot of rotation here. And get a little bit of dust on it. Double knee joint, but you can see that this shoe piece actually stays on the upper area. And it does look good. Foot, down, up, sideways, sideways. Toe joint. Missed the die-cast feet. There's this piece can now sort of rotate around, so that's kind of cool. So that's the articulation. Let's compare this guy to the old one. Just to start off the comparison, the accessories with both figures are completely identical. You have the same amount of hands, and if you have the old figure, while the hands are interchangeable because they're all attached to a ball peg on the end of the arms, the hands of the older ones have different shapes. If I'm just talking about the hands, for one thing, the size are a bit different to fit the slightly larger, slightly taller figure. You can see here, he's slightly taller, but the hands also have other differences, being that the fingers, for example, are a lot thinner than the little chubby fingers from the old ones. It makes the old hands look a bit fatter in the suit, like there's more padding on the fingers, whereas the new one looks more accurate, more tighter, obviously better molds for finer details, so that's always appreciated there with that going on. Next, let's compare the actual figures themselves. We can notice first things first, it's definitely, well, the size and height. If I was to stick this Kuuga next to S.H. Figuarts Batman or Predator, he would look a lot better because, well, he's bigger. Let's talk about the color first. The coloring is definitely a lot more accurate and with different tones. With the old Kuuga, the gauntlets on the arms, shoulder pads and armor, all the red uses the same red, whereas here the red is different. The red on the armor, shoulder pads and the little pads on the hands are the same color, shiny, sort of a flatter red. Whereas the red on the gauntlets are a lot more matte in tone, which is definitely more like these suits in the show, where he does have more of a matte finish on his gauntlets. Next we have the gold. The gold on the armor and helmet and everywhere else actually is the same gold here, whereas on the older one, because of the different use of plastic on the horns, the gold looks a bit different to the ones on the arms and the armor. But so the gold here actually is more even out and definitely looks a lot better, because you've got the armor shape difference right there, and the metallic red is on the grongi at the bottom of the armor is a lot, let's say the colour is a lot more the same compared to the rest of the armor, whereas in the older one there's definitely a different shade there, which you can say is a good or bad thing, but in terms of being show accurate, the colouring is definitely better on the new one. There's a lot of dirt marks on the belt, weather effects, which looks so much nicer than the older one, and it's the shape again is a lot better than the older one. The other one looks more like it's too bulky, too big, whereas the new one is a lot thinner, a lot shorter in height, and the buttons definitely stand out a lot more. Also on the side of the figure, the grongi text on the side of the belt definitely shows a lot more with the weather effect going on. Same goes around to the back. With the detailing. Another thing is, if we go back up to the head, the compound effects are so much more nicer on the new Kuuga. New Kuuga definitely looks like its actual compound eye effects, whereas on the old one, the eyes were far too deep. Well, the compound effects, you can definitely see them. The colouring is far too deep. The compound is too far away from the surface, so the old eyes just looks like a little deep glass ball, whereas on the new one, it looks like the actual helmet. The horns here are made out of hard plastic, whereas on the old one is more of a soft rubbery type, hence the weird colouring that happened back then. The old one has a little red dot on his helmet, and none of them are transparent, so that's the same right there. If we move down slightly, you see the shoulder pads on the old one are revealing a little peg there, so which, in terms of S.H. Figuarts these days, they sort of try to hide these all the joints. On the new one, they've definitely succeeded there. Going down a little bit more, you can see that the gauntlet on the old one, where the joint used to be, definitely cuts it up and ruins the effect of the figure, whereas on the new one they've managed to put the joint slightly higher up, giving it a better system so they don't have to cut up the suit. Definitely appreciate that. There's also of course the extra joint there, so you can rotate the lower arms, which is definitely good to have more joints. His tummy is also less skinny, and of course, as mentioned slightly earlier in the video, his belt it's its own piece, slightly softish material that can be removed from the body, so eventually if we do have a Decade 2.0, hopefully the Decade driver is also removable, so I can swap him onto Kuuga and make, like, Decade transforming into other riders. The transparent effect on the belt is also a lot lighter in colour, so you can definitely see more of the pattern going on underneath. The kneecap pads are also a lot bigger and seems to look more natural. The colouring of the black plastic is more matte, so it fits more like the suit, whereas the old one's definitely more toyish with the shiny plastic. The gold areas on his gauntlets and the little leg, what do you call them? Those feet guards are made out of transparent plastic, meaning that the little red dots on all four of them are transparent plastic. So if you shine the light on it just right, you can see it shining through like it was a gem or something, whereas on the old one it's just painted red dots. In fact, the ones on the arms are so badly painted that there hardly is any red there at all. No die-cast feet on the new one, but the joints are definitely more better hidden by these pieces that also rotate around, which can be annoying for some. Definitely can be annoying if you're trying to pose them or move them a lot. You don't really want these moving around because they're not supposed to. As on the old one, it's just pretty much stuck there, so they don't move around. But of course, on the bottom of the feet, both of them have the Kuuga logos and such. Because on the new one, because they're using plastic, they can get away with making the joints a lot tighter, so you can definitely see the Kuuga logo there. Whereas on the old one, you can just sort of see patterns, but not necessarily the Kuuga logo. It's really hard to see there. In fact, probably most of it you can't even see because it's on a joint. And of course, now finally comes down to which one is better. Of course, overall the new one is better, however more show accurate. However, there are still some pluses to the old one. For example, the sort of crimson shiny red on the old one's arm definitely looks better. Obviously in the show it didn't look like that, but you know, this one just looks better in terms of a toy. The rest of him, not so much. The rest of him definitely looks better on this guy. There's one more upside to this figure. Now this figure, because of his slimmer design, in the Kuuga music video, he does this thing where his hands cross. Now I can't really do it here, but I can definitely do it somewhat. Just swap the henshin hands on him and he's sort of doing the pose he does in the music video. Whereas on the new one, I cannot do that. His arms are constantly spraying out, which for the most part is fine, except if you want to do certain poses. I can easily push his hands down like that, but because the joints aren't too tight. But if I was trying to give him the pose where he's doing the little arm crossy thing, like Kuuga does in the music videos, I can't do that without putting my hand there. But naturally, it doesn't really want to go there. This figure would have really been so much better if there was an extra joint in there where the arms can come out a little bit, but it doesn't have that. Moving this figure around, the shoulder pads are also kind of annoying. They flip all over the place. So you get more movement, but it's a bit more annoying. One last downside to the new figure is it seems a lot more, don't really want to say fragile, but a lot harder to move around. The old one is definitely more of a fun figure to play around with in the hand, whereas the new one is something that you really more likely to just display. The joints on the old one are looser than the new one, but the new one just seems a bit tighter. It's because of the type of plastic. This uses shiny plastic, so things can move around a lot more smoothly. This uses sort of a matte plastic that seems softer than the old ones, so there's a lot more friction and rubbing around when moving the joints. In the long term, that might even be a bad thing for damaging the plastic. So yeah, so the old one has just overall, in terms of toy, nicer shiny armor, arms that can fold a bit more, and just better posability. That means just a lot more fun there. Whereas the new one is more show accurate, more body accurate, but definitely has some issues with articulation. Kamen Kuuga Mighty Form Real Skeleton version, or version 2.0, is definitely a good SH Figuarts. If this was the original Kuuga SH Figuarts to come out, I would be so much more happy with my purchase. There's still a few other issues. He is currently double the price of Kamen Kuuga, especially if you can get Kamen Kuuga for second hand. He's going to be even cheaper. Kamen Kuuga was originally released in 2009, so that's a pretty while ago. Just like Kamen Black and Black RX, this version of Kuuga is definitely visually a lot more better than the old one. However, just like those figures, the old ones are definitely more fun to play around with. So these feel more like sort of kiddier version of a toy line. Another problem with the new Kuuga is, apart from the being more expensive, that double the price, is that the rest of the Kuuga figures don't really fit with him. Ultimate form would fit with this figure because Ultimate Form is a lot bigger and taller, and his hips and arm are definitely a lot bigger and more bulkier, so it definitely fits with him. But if I look at all the other Dragon, Pegasus, Titan, and even Amazing Mighty forms, they all follow the same sort of scale as the original Kuuga. I think Amazing Mighty has stepped a bit slightly forward from the original. Definitely looks a little less toyish and more show accurate, but all the other Dragon, Pegasus and Titan form all follow this formula of the older version of Kuuga, which means if I put this version of Kuuga next to all the other versions, he's going to look slightly out of place and look a bit weird. There's something you just gotta try and ignore. And at some point, if Bandai's like, hey, let's release all the old versions of Kuuga in the new version, then that'd be great. And put them all together in the newer version, and hopefully the accessories, the weapons, his crossbow, sideways crossbow, and staff would hopefully also look better in the process. So all in all, this is definitely for the market, for people for show accuracy and sort of for display. The old one, if you want an SH Figuart that's more fun to play around with, definitely get the older version of Kuuga, because it's cheaper and you can just mess around with it, you can probably drop him and it wouldn't snap anything, whereas the new one I think is not more fragile, but definitely a lot tighter figure to deal with. I just wish if it had that extra joint in the shoulders and the arms can actually cross, then I would just stick with the new one. But it doesn't, so that's really the biggest thing for me. Just it's supposed to have more posability, and yet there's still restrictions here. What's going on? We don't want a version 3.0. This, you've had all these years to mess around with Figuarts to get the joints perfect. Bandai, this was your chance to just get the perfect Mighty form out there and just not have to redo it ever again. And yet you still somehow messed up a few things. I mean, Bandai models have that joint. Why can't this one? Oh well. I did see people like customizing this, turning it into Rising Mighty, and it seems to be a pretty easy job to do, just fill in some gold in certain areas. So if they don't release any more versions of this of Kuuga in the new form, then you can easily do that yourself. Subscribe, suggest and comment below, and of course take care and Chou Haijin!